CNN spoke to Trump voters about how he's done in office so far. Let's go ahead and watch some of it here, and then we'll discuss.
So, Tony Ann, let me start with you. What grade you give President Trump an A already? Based on what?
I feel that he's trying very hard. I feel he's already getting stuff accomplished.
Such as?
Well, I feel that he is trying to, loosen up the restraints on business. And I know he's trying with the health care, but I know that didn't work out as well as we had hoped.
It didn't work out at all.
Yeah, well, it's true. But they'll go up again, and then you have to adjust it a little bit.
Normally we give presidents 100 days, and I don't think this president even got a weekend.
How long, realistically, will you give him to accomplish some of those things?
I think we need to see where we are in 2 years. You know, see where we are midterm.
Okay, Josh, what grade do you give the president?
I give President Trump an A.
Based on what? What accomplishments do you think he can hang his hat on thus far?
You know, I think it's premature to ask that question. I mean, 60 some odd days into his presidency, he has a 4-year term. If you read The Art of the Deal, you see the similar, in the business world, you see similar pressures and opposition and defeat, and he just keeps coming back and coming back.
Sarah Marie, what grade do you give the president?
I give him an A.
Paulie?
I give President Donald Trump, an A. And to be honest with you, if I had a marker, I would put a plus next to the A.
What do you base that grade on?
Well, we see that he's working with Ford Motor Company to build 3 plants in the United States and a major league investment in the United States, as opposed to moving those jobs or keeping those jobs in Mexico. All right, that's huge.
How has your life changed, or has it changed in these past 60-plus days since President Trump was elected?
There is just this very quiet restoration of law and order and security. We're addressing illegal immigration. We're starting to do deportations. We're not playing this kind of shell game with radical Islamic terrorism. There's somebody in the Oval Office that is.
But what has he done specifically, tangibly? What has he done in the past 60-plus days to fight ISIS?
Well, I mean, we had, there was an attack that was done in Mosul.
It went terribly awry.
That one was considered bad, but I know that we have somebody who is going to be very aggressive and not let up on this.
Okay, so here's why I loved that clip. You got a little bit of everything, a little bit of every reason why various people voted for Trump. So the first group is the group that angers me because they're just boneheads, to keep it real. So the one who says, I give him an A because he, quote, loosened up the restraints on business. Okay, you mean loosening them up like, for example, the executive order that now allows coal companies to pollute the waterways? There's loosening up some business restrictions. You mean gutting the EPA and appointing a guy who doesn't believe climate change is happening and doesn't even believe that carbon dioxide emissions contributes to climate change? So gutting the EPA, gutting the Department of Education. You think that these things, loosening up the restrictions on business, let me tell you, those things are terrible. So that doesn't mean that, all regulations are good, because they're not, and there are definitely regulations to get rid of. But this idea that, they're all bad, I mean, Trump said, I think 75 to 80% of regulations we can get rid of. He signed an executive order that says, for every one new regulation, we got to get rid of 2. That's just arbitrary and silly. And that's just Trump doing the bidding of corporate donors. So to bring that up, that's just boneheaded. How do you read about a coal company now being allowed to dump toxic sludge into waterways and think, yeah, that's good, that's a positive thing? So that just got me mad. Then probably one of my favorite back and forths here is, what do you give President Trump? I give him an A. Why do you give him that? It's premature to ask. Wait, what? If it's premature to ask, it's premature to grade. You don't get to say, here's the grade that I give him. And what do I base it on? Well, we can't base anything on anything because we haven't given him enough time to get stuff accomplished, so we can't even talk about that. Well, then no, your grade of A doesn't apply. You can't give him a grade because, like you just said, you don't have enough to base on and you can't apply anything yet. It's like saying I give him an F. Why? It's too soon to talk about that. What? No, if you're gonna say that, then your answer has to be, I don't know yet. I'm agnostic because there's not enough information yet. But he says, I'm agnostic, there's not enough information, I give him an A. But that just proves massive, colossal, gigantic bias. Where I just like Trump. I like how he makes me feel. I like how he talks. I like how I get the sense that he's telling me the truth, even though he's not. But he feels like a straight shooter, so I'm going to give him an A. Why do you give him an A? I don't know. There's no reason we can't even discuss that. It's too soon. That doesn't make any sense, man. So that's the category that I call the bonehead category. I think those were the first two people. Then you get to the person who they ask, hey, why do you like him? And he goes, well, look, he cut a deal with Ford and they're going to keep jobs in the country. That's these are the people who I file under I'm sympathetic to these Trump voters, because these are the people who were kind of duped over by the talk about, I'm against TPP, we're going to renegotiate NAFTA, we're going to create new jobs, it's going to be tremendous, we're going to do an infrastructure bill, America's going to be winning again, we're going to be winning. So to me, that kind of talk, when you talk about, oh, he cut a deal to keep a plant here or something, those are the people who think like, oh, he's populist and I think he'll actually keep our jobs here, which is why I'm going to vote for him. Now, understand, ultimately, it's bullshit what he said, because the reality is, the story just broke the other day, Trump's going to renegotiate NAFTA, but some of the provisions that he's changing, he wants to make NAFTA more like TPP. Trump himself has outsourced to over a dozen other countries. He hires undocumented immigrants for his projects here in the U.S. He's stiffed workers. So this idea of him as some sort of champion of the working class, on his first day as president, he signed an executive order that effectively raises taxes on the middle class. It rolled back a tax break for first-time middle-class homebuyers. That was his first day in office. So understand, he's appointing Goldman Sachs to his administration, over 4 different people. So he's rigged in favor of Wall Street like the rest of them, corrupt through and through. But his rhetoric on the campaign trail was populist, and some people got duped where they thought, you know what? I think he's going to be better than Hillary. Now, by the way, Hillary would have been a disaster too. I just want to be clear. I'm not saying she's good by definition because he's bad. But these people were duped into thinking Trump would be good, and he wasn't good on this stuff. Then you get to, so you have the boneheaded people who just get me angry that they voted for Trump. You have people who I'm sympathetic towards because they cite jobs and stuff. By the way, some of them go on, you don't see it in the clip that I showed you, there's a longer version, but some of them go on to talk about the undocumented immigrants were voting everywhere, illegals were voting, 3 million of them. Totally untrue, a claim Trump made based on memes online where they just showed a picture of a bus and said, this is illegals being bussed in by Democrats to vote. Nonsense, utter nonsense, factually wrong, but they bring that up. I put that under the boneheaded category also. Then you get to the vicious category, the people who voted for him because he's vicious in many respects. So when he went out there and he said, the Mexicans, they're criminals, they're rapists, I assume some are good people. Like, how do you flipped it. The reality of it is, most are good people, some are criminals, but he flipped it. They're criminals, they're rapists, I assume some are good people, kind of implying like the majority are criminals, undocumented immigrants. So he wanted to kick out all undocumented immigrants. He wanted to ban all Muslims. He wanted to do a nationwide stop and frisk program, which, by the way, disproportionately cracks down on people of color. And it has over a 98% failure rate, so it's just a way to harass, poor people of color around the country. And you heard at the end there the guy say, I like what he's doing with the deportations. Well, for example, ICE detained a woman who had a brain tumor at a hospital, and they sent her back to the deportation center. She's fucking got a brain tumor. She's in the hospital waiting for treatment. They're like, nope, get rid of it. So it's stuff like that where guys like this think, they're illegal, therefore anything against them is correct. Deportations, wonderful. It's punching down. They think like these people are responsible for holding them down. No, look at the people higher on the economic ladder than you. Look at the corporations. Look at the billionaires. Look at the people who've rigged the political system. It's not these poor immigrants who are the problem, but guys like this have been duped into thinking that, and so they love it when Trump is vicious against these people. So he cites deportations, but then the scariest thing is he's like, he's going after ISIS and he's going after them hard, and the recent bombings prove that. All the recent bombings have been nothing but civilian slaughterfests. All of them. All of them. His first raid in Yemen killed 30 innocent people, including an 8-year-old girl. They're like, oh, we like that he's taking off the gloves and he's cracking down on ISIS by killing so many civilians. Seemingly all these different stories we cover. Up, more civilian casualties here, more there. He increased drone strikes by 432%. So, story after story about how, yeah, they're getting civilians with these bombings, and this guy goes out there and says, I like the bombing. And even the host pushes back and goes, whoa, 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 that was a disaster, that was botched. And he's like, oh yeah, maybe that one was bad, but he's going to keep being aggressive. So she's telling you, hey, they're killing civilians, and it's not good. He's like, yeah, but I like the aggressiveness. Okay, those are the people. You got the boneheaded people who just get me mad because they just believe things that are not true. You got the vicious people who I think are legitimately bad people because they love all the coded bigotry and xenophobia and the policies in that direction and the vicious killing of civilians. Like, I kind of like that because it feels right. We're strong and we're fighting ISIS. I hate those people. And the only people I'm sympathetic to are the ones who are like, I don't know, I thought he would keep the jobs here. So you get a little bit of everything, the whole spectrum of Trump voters there. Now, the job of the Democrats is you have to try to get the people who we feel sympathy towards because they cited jobs as like, we think Trump will be better with jobs. Those are the ones who you're basically trying to get to vote for Democrats. And you can get to vote for Democrats because many of them voted for Obama twice. So you just need people to appeal to the working class. If you get Democrats who are actually progressive and liberal and will fight on the economic front, well, then you could get these people to vote for you. So the Democrats need to get the ones who care about jobs and the economy to vote for them. The other ones, we all understand that there's some in the Trump camp who are the so-called deplorables who are too far gone. And you got a little taste of everything in this clip from CNN.